So we're going to talk about some wireless network basics in this video. And again, this is the IC&D1 course. As a result, we're not going to get too deep into it, but we will cover what's in the exam materials. As you can probably attest, that wireless networks used to be pretty rare, but they're becoming more common in the workplace and even at home. I know I can attest just here in my home, we have 4 individuals, myself, my wife, and my 2 children. And between the 4 of us, there are probably 20 wireless devices in this home, whereas just a few years ago, before the explosion of tablets and smartphones came about, that number would have been much, much smaller. But at least in the context of a business environment, the reason wireless networks are becoming so popular is that employees require connectivity no matter what their location, whether they're in the office and just want to be able to pick up their laptop and go into a conference room and still have network connection, whether they want to take that laptop home and connect it to their home network and continue to work using VPN and remote access technologies. Or while they're traveling, let's say you have a road warrior or a worker that doesn't live near a branch location. With modern wireless technologies, they can take that laptop to any place that has a wireless connection, whether it's a Panera Bread or a Starbucks or a McDonald's even, and work just like they're in their office. And then the latest trend over the last year and a half is BYOD, or bring your own device. And this is where employees might have better computing hardware at home. They might have an iPad or an Android tablet, or they might have their own laptop that's better than what the company could provide for them. So the company just says, you know what, if you'll bring your own device, we'll cut you a check for the use of that device. Obviously, it won't cover the full amount of it, but we'll give you a check for $500 and you can go buy your own laptop and bring that in and just use that. So that way you can keep the laptop once you leave the company and so on and so forth. And without a good, secure, robust wireless infrastructure, all of these technologies just don't work, because look at most tablets. They don't have a place where you can plug an Ethernet connection into them. Wireless is just so ubiquitous now that it's hard to find a place that doesn't actually offer some sort of wireless. And when it comes down to it, at least from a business perspective, wireless networks are cheaper to deploy than wired networks. With wired networks, you have to go buy some high-speed switches, and you have to trunk those switches together, and then you have to pay to have cabling run to each of the locations where you're going to place your users. And if you have conference rooms, you have to pay to have cabling run to that conference room. And then if a user picks up and moves into a new office that may not already have cabling, you have to pay to have the cabling moved into that office. Whereas with a wireless network, you put in some wireless controllers and some wireless access points. You make sure you have enough coverage and enough bandwidth, and users can go wherever they want to go. They want to go in the conference room, fine, they can work in the conference room. If it's a really nice day outside, they can pick their laptop up and go outside on the front porch of the business and do their work out there. However, with all of this cost savings and all of this convenience, there does come a price, and there are some concerns surrounding wireless networks that you have to be aware of, and you have to mitigate those concerns wherever possible. And we'll discuss some of those in this video and in this section about wireless networking. The first concern, and in my opinion it's one of the biggest concerns, is the security. Unlike a wired network, wireless networks don't stop at the walls of the business. And there's a term for driving around in parking lots and seeing what wireless networks are available. It's called war driving. It harkens back to war dialing, where you had kids with modems that would just dial every number in the phone book until they happened to find a modem that they could log into. So if your wireless network is not properly secured, someone could drive out in front of your business and associate with your wireless network, and then all the goodies on your inside network, all your file servers and your printers and your workstations, they're all there for anyone to do whatever they want to with. That's a big concern, and you have to mitigate that. There are some ways of doing that. We'll talk about that when we discuss wireless security, or at least the basics of how to secure the wireless network. Along with the network security, you also have to make sure that only authorized persons access the wireless network. In other words, just because a wireless network is available in your office doesn't necessarily mean you want everybody in the office accessing it. And we won't really get into how to do radius or ePOL authentication here in the IC&D1 course, but it is something to keep in mind. As a broad network generalist, you have to make sure that you keep this in mind, that whoever gets on the network is actually authorized to access the network. There are also several technical concerns, mainly dealing around reception. And when we discuss reception, the big 3 topics that always come up are reflection, scattering, and absorption. Reflection is just what it says, the wireless signals bouncing off of a wall or off of a metal door or so on and so forth. Scattering is when a wireless signal may hit a wall and the signal takes a right-hand turn because of the particular way the wall is constructed. And then you have absorption, which is I'm going through the sheetrock wall, but some of my energy is going to be absorbed by the sheetrock. And so anything that's behind that wall will not get a good reception. We also have to deal with interference. Interference can come from a myriad of sources, but the big ones you'll see in corporate settings are microwaves, cordless phones, and other wireless networks. And we'll look at the interference that other wireless networks can give you when we discuss wireless standards and concepts here in just a little bit. So let's discuss some of the common components of a wireless infrastructure. Obviously, you have to have a wireless network card. There's hardly a device out there, a portable device anyway, that doesn't have a wireless network card built into it. You also have to have a wireless access point. Again, that's what the wireless network card connects to. If you have a wireless network card, no access point, you're not going to get very far. And in a corporate environment, you're going to use a wireless controller. The wireless controller gives you the ease of access point configuration. Instead of having to go out to 15 different access points in your organization, you go into your controller and say, I want to advertise this network with this wireless key, and it configures all 15 of your access points. You can also do client device management. Some of the more advanced controllers and even some of the not so advanced controllers can do device management where you can disconnect users that happen to be using too much bandwidth or disconnect users that are acting in a malicious manner. And also, hand in hand with device management is network security. You can push out your network security policies through your wireless network and make sure that you as the network administrator or the network engineer is fully aware of everything that's going on your wireless network. And that concludes our discussion of wireless network basics.